Well, I don't know why it's playing, but Jimripsu and hello, welcome to our show. This is CNRP America live show. My name is Linda Wu, and again, welcome. This show is called Khmer Youth Voices for Justice. We talk about basically concentrate on the youth. We would like the youth that outside Cambodia and also inside Cambodia to understand what's going on in Cambodia, and also our topic all over the place. We also have topic in America, so it's not only in Cambodia. But again, welcome. Thank you for being here. Today is Tuesday, September 13, 2022. I would like to wish our audience, if you Kanban, if you are Buddhist, you are right now it's Kanban, and this is the third day. Wishing you safe travel. Wishing you safe travel to the temple and back home. And also it's a custom, like it's a festival of the dead. It's a 15 days for Buddhists that believe in it, for our audience that believe how a Buddhist religion. So safe travel during this Kanban, the third day. And again, thank you and welcome to our show. Our topic for today is Cambodia newest human trafficking problem. I have that as a problem, but I don't think it's a problem anymore. It's more like a crisis. Before I started, I would like to talk about random topic that's going on in Cambodia. So let me bring up a topic. One of them is an image before I can start, so you can see the image, what's going on. On our show, we always talk about human rights. We always talk about democracy, and this is happened in September 11, which is 2 days ago. I always bring it up regarding Naga worker. They were peaceful protests every day since since December of 2021. So last month, when the UN rapporteur visited Cambodia, the protester was not protesters. The protester, Naga lady protester, they were able to stand in front of the casino to protest. But unfortunately, to protest peacefully without the guard or the regime security guard hitting them, or the policeman hitting them. But unfortunately, on September 11, there was a rough up. So let me show some image, and this is an image of what we see daily in Cambodia: suppressions in freedom of speech, suppressions in freedom of assembly. And this is, like I said, it's happened daily. So let me show some of the picture. And that is human rights violation. So all they do, just go and protest. And if you see how many of the police versus the protest, you can see from this picture, there's more than the protester itself. So, and it also, like I said, it's happened since they were peaceful protests in December 2021. So this is over spilling to almost 10 months already, and nothing, the regime and not solving this issue at all. And it's keep dragging, and each day, that's what you see each day when they go to protest. And unfortunately, that's what happened in Cambodia right now. Let me introduce my guests. I have two wonderful guests. They are so nice today. They spend all day. One of my guests spent all day running around today, and my other guest is also spending time running around in California. One in Washington, one in California, and I'm just here running around from work to just this live show. But I'm honored to have this two of my guests here. Let me introduce my first one. Her name is Brittany Baker. She is in Columbus, Ohio, but she's not in Ohio today, but she's traveling somewhere today. But I would like to welcome her, and please welcome her. Hi, Brittany. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank
Thank you for being here.
You're welcome, of course.
How are you?
I'm good. As you said, I'm busy day. Really tired, but energized by all the advocacy work that we're doing here in Washington, D.C. So thankful for the opportunity to be a part of the show and to be a part of this greater work.
And from all of us, thank you from the bottom of our heart for you that running today. But you will share some of this maybe later on when you no longer at the place. But we'll share what's going on. But if you follow CNRPA, I mean CNRP America Facebook Live, you would have seen Brittany this morning as well. So she's still 12 hours later, she's still beautiful as ever. So thank you, Brittany, and thank you for joining our show.
Thank you.
And my other guest, let me welcome Samadi U. He is in Los Angeles, California. So, Chum Hiệp Xua Samadi, and welcome to our show.
How are you today?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you, Bong.
Thank you for joining our show. I know you are one of the busy youths that we know as well. So thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your input, sharing your voices at the show. Let me bring back Brittany so that way she can help us dive into the topic. Like I said before I start, let me also get a little bit of video. Like I said, the topic today is Cambodia newest human trafficking crisis. So not just I don't call problem anymore. It's crisis. So it's we always hear about Cambodian got trafficked into other country to work illegally, to work underpay or child labor. If you our audience would have known, Cambodian I believe is 1.5 to 2 million Cambodian cross the border to Thailand to work every day because as the reason is because in Cambodia there's not many opportunity, and if you are not related or you are not related or blood related of the leadership in Cambodia, you will have a hard time finding job. You will have a hard time if you first of all if you don't have connection, you would have a hard time finding opportunity in Cambodia. And it is unfortunate that many of the youth, many of the people that in their early 20s cross the border, called migrant worker, cross the border to Thailand, and that's 1.5 to 2 millions. That's the number that went over, cross the border to Thailand. And also we have people that going to that is in Korea, Japan, many other countries just to find work because under the peace and development in Cambodia, there's no job, there's no opportunity if you don't have connections, not just connection, good connections. Let me find the video before I started, so that way it's like a little bit into our show, so that way you can understand what is it that we're talking about, what is it that we are talking about, this new crisis in Cambodia when it's regarding to human rights. So hang in there, let me find my video. Hold on, I found it. I just don't want to play it yet.
Investigation Bureau on Tuesday refuted reports that 4,000 Taiwanese nationals had gone missing in Cambodia. Government figures put the real estimate much lower at 120 people. Khmer sued.
Were you able to hear that? Somebody, can you hear that? Okay.
President Chang on Tuesday said investigations will continue, adding that the government will offer help for Taiwanese to return to Taiwan.
Sue's comments came amid criticism from a KMT lawmaker who says only 2 people are assisting in rescue operations in Cambodia. Let's hear from the lawmaker.
The government's task force is really just 2 people. One is in charge of emergency rescue operations, and the other in charge of consular affairs. It is absolutely not enough.
政府非常关心，我们收集所有资料。
The government is watching the matter.
It's just a little bit of the information. This last whole week, we were talking about in the news. Many different country, but the last I think few months talking about Taiwanese that Taiwanese citizen that go to Cambodia, work in Cambodia, but instead it's not working. It's labor. It's described as being in hell. So it describes some people who want to escape. They wouldn't let them escape because they still owe them money. And this is a scam that's going on in Cambodia. Like I said, is unfortunately that now it's 2022. I know Cambodia is working on trying to prevent human trafficking. When we talk about human trafficking, we always hear like, oh, Cambodian get tricked into working in other countries like Thailand, Malaysia. Like we hear about people in fishing industry where Cambodian are put into boat and then they work not tirelessly. But this is 2022, and now we're hearing about other country or other foreigner that come to Cambodia and get tricked. Let me read a little topic. This is from dw.com. It says Cambodia has transformed from being a source to a major destination for human trafficking in Southeast Asia. And then this is from the UN Special Rapporteur that he traveled and he came to Cambodia for 11 days. So he actually said that human trafficking victims were experiencing a living hell in which many were tortured or even killed. So like country are now waking up to the phenomenon, and Cambodia need to be active countermeasures more strongly while welcoming international corporations as well. So that's being reported for his 11-day trip. He noticed that as well, that that's what's going on. Let's start with Brittany. Brittany, can you help us? Can you describe to our audience that haven't heard, like someone like me, like when you talk about human trafficking, you're talking about little girl, you're talking about women that trick into all these horrible unimaginable situation. But now you hear about Cambodia is a destination. It's some people bringing other nation to other foreigner to Cambodia and work and being slave.
Right. So as you mentioned, there's a long history of human trafficking in that region. And earlier this year, the State Department, the U.S. State Department, moved Cambodia to a tier 3, which is the most critical tier, which usually has sanctions coupled with being on this tier, because the human trafficking situation in Cambodia is really dire and getting worse by the day, as you mentioned. So while there is a long history that we have to acknowledge, it looks a little bit different now because what we're seeing is a rise of cyber scams. As you mentioned, in your video, the Taiwanese nationals that were rescued, and we've seen the same thing from Thai, from Indonesian, from Malaysian workers who were lured into these cyber scams throughout Cambodia. There was an Al Jazeera expose recently that uncovered just how deep these syndicates are. So it's really concerning because it's crossing borders now. As you mentioned before, a lot of times the human trafficking was sort of exported, but now Cambodia is a major destination, which I think speaks to larger human rights violations that have been going on for a long time. A corrupt government with very little oversight, very little protection for the people. And as you mentioned at the start of the show, with the migrant workers, people who have to move because there's a lack of opportunity in Cambodia, makes them vulnerable, very targeted for human trafficking. So something very concerning.
Thank you, Brittany, for sharing. Samadi, you must have, like me, watched the news, watched what's going on, and follow up on Cambodia because you are the youth, and Brittany is also the youth, and the reason for our show, so that way we have the reason for our show that we speak English, so that way the youth in America, the youth outside of Cambodia, or the youth in Cambodia that speak English can understand the informations, not just informations that posed by the regime. Can you help to describe the latest one that you heard or that you aware of that this is going on, and the scam and what happened? Like in Cambodia, there's a lot of casinos. So what's going on in this scam?
Well, so the latest news, I think recently, this month, there has been a lot of news about the new form of human trafficking in Cambodia. Previously, Cambodia is known for sex trafficking, human sex trafficking. Now is a type of new form that cyber scam. So basically, they, as you know, in Cambodia, there's a lot of Chinese Cambodian, which they came from China. They have a lot of money, come to Cambodia, got Cambodian citizenship, and they basically clean laundering all the dirty money in Cambodia, and they came up with this newest form of human trafficking, which basically used the type of form of cyber scamming. I have read the news, and they have those Telegram or WeChat in China. They call it WeChat. It's like a Telegram, but Chinese form communication platform. They basically translated. I translated the Chinese writing in. They basically have a group where they traffic Cambodian and also some Taiwanese and also some Chinese citizen into Cambodia, because Cambodia is easy to enter. One of the messages on the Telegram, the owner, which is who trafficked people into Cambodia, wrote, Cambodia, Sihanoukville, 6 Bangladesh, can type and speak English for companies in Sihanoukville, targeting foreigner. People who can make decision, chat back to me, can deliver. They have those type of messages, and if their target audience interested, they can discuss about the price of human trafficking. So I think there's a guy, a Chinese guy, who used to be a cook in China, and his restaurant was closing down. And then one day he got this. His name is Fan. He's 22 years old. He was offering a job in China, saying, "Oh, there's this great opportunity that you can get, but we have to." This job is in Cambodia. It's $1,000 a month. We will fly you to Cambodia to take this job, and the next thing he know is he being held captive without getting paid. So it's a scam, and he was forced into scamming people. For example, running the fake lottery advertisement. And in Cambodia, there's recently there's this famous gambling website that you can gamble online, which is owned by the Chinese who based out of from Cambodia. So they basically scam people out of that, especially foreigner who visit in Cambodia. So this is the new type of form of human trafficking. All of this is due to the government. They made the Cambodian citizenship so easy to obtain for foreigner. If you want to become Cambodian citizenship, all you do is you have money, and you have a lot of money, invest into the country, and you will like Bang Lin showed, immigrant, the immigrant permanent resident card. You can just pay and you get it. That's all you have to do. You can live in Cambodia for as long as you want and invest into the country. So when it is easier to enter in Cambodia, there's many human trafficking happening in and out of Cambodia. So I think this is the latest form of human trafficking in Cambodia.
Thank you, Samadi. I'm gonna ask Brittany because she traveled basically the world. Um, this scam happened because it's too good to be true. Basically, people from Taiwan, people from Malaysia, people from the Philippines, people from Vietnam, being trafficked over to Cambodia. So it must be a promise or an ease. Like, I think in America, when you hear something that is, too good to be true, it's not true. So I believe during COVID, people are desperate. People are looking for a job. Now, I because most of this rescue in Cambodia, the government or the regime or the police, they call these rescue operations. And For Brittany that travel the world, how do you determine an opportunity that legit or opportunity that's too good to be true? How do you determine that? I know you work in Cambodia. Do you ever think, oh, I might be be into like labor for free?
That's a really good question, and I think you nailed it on the head there because oftentimes people are trying to make the best decision, and they're hopeful that an advertisement that they find for a job is legitimate. They're traveling far away from their family, maybe leaving their kids with the grandparents to be raised. Um, so it might be hard to determine if an ad is legitimate, if it's a safe job for them to take. And we have to remember behind these cyber trafficking efforts are experts, people that are very careful about how they recruit the new workers. So while there might be some tendency to be like, well, they shouldn't have fallen for that. I think we have to be mindful to not blame the victim in those situations and to really put the focus and the responsibility back on corrupt officials that allow for trafficking to continue and are complicit. Um, Maybe they even are tipped off about a trafficking situation, and they accept money, they accept a bribe in order to keep that operation going. Um, so we already know about the culture of impunity in Cambodia, where it's a free for all for many authorities, many CPP officials that would turn a blind eye to trafficking and other human rights abuses.
Thank you, Brittany. Samadi, you are looking for a job in America. How is it going?
Most of the job that I'm looking for is through school, where the Cal Poly Pomona I graduated from. They has the alumni program where you have people who previously graduated from the school that I graduated. They come to an event, explain to student who about to graduate, and that's how you build connection off of those. You just go and talk to them to see if there's a job offer, and you basically get a job from a trusted source. I don't think it's possible to fall into cyber scam jobs, especially in the U.S., because we have a very trusted source like Indeed or through school. That's how you find job. But in Cambodia, job can be posted anywhere. They can be at the noodle place. It can be posted online on Facebook from advertisement. So when people become desperate, they will look into those jobs. Sometimes they said $300-400 to us. It might not be a lot, but to people who live in Cambodia, young adult, young kid um, uh, who is at a very young age, no one guide them, and they don't go to school. It can be very misleading, and they ending up in Sihanoukville, where uh, the Chinese people who they just go into the compound and they lock you up. So this is the type of human trafficking happening in Cambodia. So yeah, I believe if the government do something about it, the Hun Sen regime, put more pressures into making it more difficult for Chinese investors without solid background, without checking their background into Cambodia. Instead of making easy like this, I think it will go down. Those type of scam and human trafficking will decrease, but I don't see any change as of now.
Thank you, Samri. So there's no amount of money will entice you to go to Cambodia?
No.
Not going even to work, like work for NGO, anything? No, nothing.
We will need to ask Brittany for that because she have connection.
Okay, Brittany, there's an offer coming, Brittany, for an NGO. Travel soon. Really good money, and scenic wheel. You be at the beach.
For my own moral reasons, I've never visited Sihanoukville, based off of what the Khmer people that are originally from there or are still there have told me. I have chosen to never visit Sihanoukville just out of support of them. And understanding that the Chinese development in that area is not development for most of the Khmer people there. So it's good to remember that a lot of the cyber trafficking that we're seeing now is coming exactly from Sihanoukville and can be traced a lot of times back to these foreign established and foreign operated casinos.
Thank you, Brittany. I believe either Brittany or somebody said it that gambling, cyber gambling, or online gambling is
Yeah.
illegal in Cambodia. If it's illegal, why do we find so many places, so many locations where this trafficking, human trafficking happening, that people scam into working? I know people said it's really bad conditions, and we all keep hearing about how horrible, but we never hear about what's going on in there, what is going on. So is it illegal gambling? Does online gambling illegal, somebody in Cambodia? Online gambling, basically, I think cyber gambling.
Well, I don't think even though the government said it's illegal, but there's no decrease in Cambodia. Is It is very easy to gamble. Just put it in short. You can basically gamble on anything. In this case, even though the government said, "Oh, we're going to close down online gambling," there's still human trafficking. I think the Chinese investor, they just use online gambling as to cover up human trafficking and this cyber scam in Cambodia. So unless the government closed down all the casino in Sihanoukville and kick out all the Chinese investor, I don't see anything change. Well,
Thank you, somebody. And let me, I just think of something. It's not just about someone tricked into working in Cambodia. It's also about looking a foreigner looking for love as well, because all these chatting
yeah,
is going on. So it's not about oh, I need a job. I'm really need to support my family, so I'm gonna pack up from wherever I'm at and go to Cambodia, a country that they don't even know, where many people, if you ask many people, they would know where's Cambodia, this tiny country. But it's also about chatting with a girl many times. And so love interest, that's also one of the topic that I read as well. From what I read, it say money talk louder than anything out in Cambodia. Brittany, how bad influence Chinese national Chinese foreigner in Cambodia. When they are in Cambodia, what did they do? Did they create job? What did they bring into Cambodia for our audience that doesn't know where Cambodia is, and why are we talking about Chinese people in Cambodia?
That's a great question, Bong. I need at least an hour to talk about this topic, though. But when I was recently in Cambodia, the bigger cities have such a uptick in Chinese businesses. Versus just a few years ago, before COVID, even I would say, and it's astonishing. Certain parts of Phnom Penh, I see more Chinese writing than I do see Khmer writing, and I'm like, wait a second, where am I right now? So I think it's interesting to follow the money, because when China gives a blank check with no stipulations for human rights or advancement of education or healthcare to CPP. It allows for these businesses to flourish, which really disadvantage local combined businesses, bring in casinos, bring in corrupt money, and human rights abuses. If you look at the special economic zones that have been popping up in Cambodia and throughout the entire Southeast Asian region, you see a slew of human rights violations in those areas. They're basically special areas that have different laws from the national government of that country, which protects really corrupt activities. There's been plenty of reports from free and independent media, which Cambodia conveniently lacks, that have exposed the harms and the human rights violations and trafficking numbers in these special economic zones and around the special economic zones. So this is an agreement that is set up with between the Cambodian government and foreign companies such as China. So it's increasingly troubling. And while online gambling might be technically banned in Cambodia, we see a slew of casinos being built, and we see the trafficking in persons report becoming very troubling every year. And now we're seeing cyber crimes and people speaking out about this, people from other countries, other embassies, other ASEAN partners that are coming in and saying, hey, we have 15 of our nationals in your country who are tricked into this scam, and we're here personally to rescue them.
Thank you, Brittany. Even the child in your background is screaming for Cambodia, screaming out pain for Cambodia. So thank you so much, Brittany. I'm losing my concentration. I'm sorry. If our audience didn't know, Brittany is live with us in the restaurant right now. Instead of eating, she's on the computer live with us. So thank you, Brittany. Yeah, thank you, Brittany. I actually lose my train of thought. Yes. China. Somebody, I started out by saying there's 1.5 to 2 million migrant workers in Cambodia. If Cambodia has so much development everywhere, why can't we use those 1.5 to 2 million? We can call them youth to help build the country. Why do they have to go all the way to Thailand, all the way to Japan, or to South Korea to find work? What happened with all those buildings in Cambodia? Who built them, or who helped construct those buildings?
Well, those migrant that you said, one is they are Cambodian. When the Chinese investors come and build a lot of building in Sihanoukville, let's say, for example, they brought their own people. They brought their own Chinese architectures, engineering, come and build those buildings. And most of the time, the Cambodian worker were being pushed out. If you go to Sihanoukville, most of the places, everywhere you can see them is in Chinese writing. There isn't any Cambodian writing or Khmer writing. on their little panel. All they said is in Chinese writing. So as a result, this push out all those Cambodian and migrant workers to other country to find better job. Because in Cambodia, the only job you can have is factory, and right now factory isn't doing too well in Cambodia due to EBA, COVID. Many apparel factory were closing down. So the only stable job in next to Cambodia is Bangkok, which is in Thailand, where one the economic is very. Uh, I think they are one of the best in Southeast Asia. Thailand is one of the richest country, so the economic is stable, and as a result, most Cambodian will go to Thailand to find better living. And for those who stay, they has been manipulated into thinking, well, um, even if finishing college or go to school would not give him any money because the minimum wage in Cambodia is $140. Even if you graduate, you would not be able to find job. Let's be honest, unless you have connections or you have a couple tens or 20K to pay the company or someone to get into that company to work, where you can only get paid $400 per month. So as a result, due to corruptions in Cambodia and the type of connection required in order to get a job at the workplace, those people will be jobless and they were forced to go into other country to work.
Thank you, Samadi. Let me bring back Brittany. Brittany, when you go to Cambodia, when I go to Cambodia, we bring money and we spend in Cambodia. So the economy in Cambodia is spinning. I mean, it's moving. How come Chinese? It's not Chinese in Cambodia as well. They now, like somebody said, they go to work. They don't go to. They're not tourism. They're not tourists. They go to work and they push the Cambodian youth and the Cambodian who graduate from college, who have a college degree, but unfortunately, it's does not have connections with the regime. Does not have connection with people in the government or in the private sector, not able to find a decent job. Let me remind everybody, a decent factory job is $197 per month. It's not per day, it's per month. So last time when we calculated, it's looked like $1. If you work is in a factory, it looked like you are making $1 per hour. So and now every I think political party, Candlelight Party is asking or agreeing that the factory worker salary should be increased. So now the factory worker is asking for an increase in salary. That's not the point. The point is $197 per month working in factory in Cambodia versus where you go to Thailand. But the thing is, you and I go to Cambodia, somebody go to Cambodia, we spend money, we are considered, we are tourists, we go visit Cambodia, and that's how economy move. We spend money at restaurant, we spend money eating, but we are not working in Cambodia. These what we call Chinese citizen that came over from China, help with constructions. First of all, Cambodian is more capable than helping in construction industry, but because it's controlled by China, they bring their own people work in Cambodia. So they actually working and bringing money to China and not spending for economy to move at all. So what is wrong with that picture?
Well, there's a lot of things wrong with that picture. And I'm reminded last year of a big raid in Thailand or around the border of Thailand when there were undocumented migrant workers who were trying to find money to support their families. And because they didn't have the proper documentation, right? Perhaps because they didn't know the process, or perhaps because they couldn't afford it. So they maybe hired someone to help them cross the border, or they took the risk to cross the border by themselves, and they were caught and arrested and had to pay those fines. So while Cambodians who are completely capable of doing these jobs, white collar, blue collar jobs in Cambodia, due to corruption and a lack of jobs to keep Cambodians there, they're taking the risk to cross borders or to go to Korea, to go to Malaysia to have enough money to raise their families. So there's a lot of issues here, and something that is I find interesting is that CPP officials such as the Interior Minister, when questioned about the rise in human trafficking and these recent revelations, undercover investigations that revealed all of these things. I'm reminded that the ministers are passing the blame to other people rather than looking at their own government and what they can do to improve the situation and to make people stay in Cambodia and have safe working conditions. They pass the blame to someone else. So it's really interesting this double-edged sword of wanting infinite unrestricted aid money from China, but then also saying, well, all of these are Chinese operations, and human trafficking is a result of China and other foreign actors. So that's very interesting.
Thank you, Brittany. Our audience, our viewer, Chandara Nakim, wrote it in Khmer. Said, because, they crossed the border, we crossed, Cambodian crossed the border, and police will always get them. But because of, empty stomach, and many times not just empty stomach, owning to the bank, they are borrowing microfinance that we always talk about, that putting Cambodian back into more debt and more into borrowing the bank, and almost 100%, 120% interest rate, and they will, no matter what, they will never ever going to repay those back, and people would just go, the cycle just keep repeating. And when we're talking about the regime, when you're talking about the regime, about all these time that we talk about this, we have not seen a report beside being labeled as rescue operations. Yes, they are rescuing people. They are rescuing Taiwanese. They are rescuing the Philippines. I think on the news, they are rescuing those foreigners. But at the same time, I have not heard on the news on, going into these undercover operations and arrested the head of the casino, or arrested the person that responsible for this. Somebody, can you help me understand, or help our audience understand, why is it that it's called an operations of rescue operation instead of going in, like, if, and then we're gonna speak another our topic, like drug. You don't see the drug lord, I think we call it, got arrested, but you can see in Cambodia there's drug all over the place, but never only like the innocent people who using drug got arrested. And this is the same case. The victims, we are glad that the victim got rescued, but who responsible, who accountable for that?
The main population that responsible for human trafficking in Cambodia is basically the Chinese citizen who got their permanent resident to stay in Cambodia. And as you know, recently, I think this last year, China has banned cryptocurrency. You're not able to purchase anything with cryptocurrency anymore in China. And I recently going upon this Cambodia. I just realized that Cambodia doesn't have any regulation regarding cryptocurrency. So in this case, the government digital currency which you can use to mine the Bitcoin, or what is the other one called? I forgot. There's Bitcoin and the other one. So the government just launched this digital currency called Project Bakong. So it's basically a blockchain-based peer-to-peer payment money transfer platform. So you can basically launder all the dirty money that the Chinese resident who live in Cambodia made from cyber scamming into actual money and use those money as an investment in Cambodia. So this shows that even the government has implemented those type of digital currency. That means they supported those cyber scam because it has to do something with the regime. The regime probably behind all of this is just another way to generate money and launder money through blockchain, which untraceable. Is very discreet. It does not show who's transfer what amount of money into those capital investment that they bought. So it's very discreet. So in this case, even if the government back this digital company, I don't see any improvement in Cambodia. It's gonna keep getting worse.
Thank you, Samadi. Let me bring Brittany back. Yes. Unfortunately, like we talking about money talk, and when with money talk is the main issue in Cambodia. When money talk, politician quiet. So politician will close their eye. Politicians will not even move a needle because money flowing in, and also that's how where Cambodia is blooming with casino, because those are money coming into Cambodia's dirt, not just money, dirty money, really dirty money coming into Cambodia. Corruptions. That's how Cambodia is, corruptions. So now when we're talking about money talk, how do we prevent this, Brittany? How do we prevent human trafficking?
That's an excellent question. The authorities that are in power have to actually acknowledge that it's a problem. Have to acknowledge um, uh, their role in the problem, and have to take concrete steps to address these very deep issues. For a very long time, the authorities have um, push this problem away to foreign NGOs to solve, have sort of exported the responsibility to the foreign to the international community to address this. And I believe that the authorities have the responsibility, the local community has the responsibility to solve this issue, to address this issue in a culturally responsive way that the international community just cannot do single handedly. While I applaud the efforts made by the U.S. State Department and other international NGOs to address the real concern of human trafficking, the issues are very deep, and they need to be solved by Cambodians and by authorities who have the political will to solve this. In my opinion, it needs to be one of the top points of political concern, and any leader, so-called leader in Cambodia, should be losing a lot of sleep at night until this is thoroughly addressed.
Thank you, Brittany. They're losing a lot of sleep for counting money that flowing in, unfortunately, and that is the real issue. The U.S., the international community, the NGO, the U.S. international community, what they do is they go in and they teach Cambodian, they educate Cambodian what is human trafficking, going to educational level, what to identify victim. But at the end of the day, the regime need to step up. The regime cannot just say rescue operation anymore. Cannot just say we are help rescuing two Taiwanese yesterday, or we are going into, or we have a clear information to go to this compound and rescue. No, that's not going to work. That's not going to solve issue. The issue is the regime. The issue is they need to stop looking at money. They need to stop looking at, they need to realize that this is an international issue. It's not about Cambodia anymore. In the facts that these special UN rapporteur talking about it, the fact that the Cambodia now is in the map where Taiwan is, like Taiwan citizen know where Cambodia is. I know Chinese citizen know where Cambodia is for a long time, but now Cambodia having a bad reputation for human trafficking, and it's not its own citizen or foreigner coming into Cambodia, being abused, being forced to work, and there's nobody responsible for. Basically, there's no the man that actually responsible for anything, but it's the regime, the government of Cambodia need to be responsible, need to step up and say this need to stop, and need to stop now, because it doesn't look good for Cambodia. We are at the end of our show, both Samadi and Brittany. Since Brittany already talked already, let's start with Samadi. Any last comment, anything to our audience, any visual for this Kanban Phomban in Cambodia, Buddhist? I know you haven't been to the temple yet, I know, Samadi, so
The first thing is what the government can do on the federal level is instead of popularizing Cambodian Idol, which some Dutch has said, oh, he's so proud that 500K people viewing live show Cambodian Idol and talking about black hole. There are people from Thailand, from Korea, go and live in Siem Reap because they don't want to be flooded, because they believe someone calling themselves Prum say everywhere will be flooded. Instead of popularizing that, what he can do is brought up this issue every time he go to an event, saying, "Oh, there's human trafficking, cyber trafficking in Cambodia, where they smuggle people from all over the world into Cambodia and commit this type of crime. They should be doing that instead. The regime, especially some Dutch." That's one. And two, people in Cambodia should realize that when something sounds too good to be true, then it is too good to be true. If someone offer you this job and they want your information in return, I think you should treat it with extreme caution. And lastly, Bon Pyong Ban, I wish everyone a great Bon Pyong Ban, and wish you healthy and keep continuing to care about our country, because we only a few left that hasn't been manipulated or brainwashed. A small population.
thank you, Samadi. Brittany, any last word before you run out? I know you need to run. Now she's ran. Okay, thank you so much, Brittany, and thank you, Samadi, for being here today. It was a really good discussion. We talk about all one topic, but hit all areas of human rights and also human trafficking in Cambodia. So for that, thank you so much, Samadi, for being here.
Thank you, Bong.
Thank you. Thank you, our audience, for being here today. Again, this show is on CNRP America Facebook Live. Our show is every Tuesday. We speak English. Myself and the guest speak English, so our youth will know what's going on in Cambodia. The program is called Khmer Youth Voices for Justice. And like I said, every Tuesday, please tune in. Every Tuesday, our topic today is Cambodia, newest human trafficking problem. It should be crisis now. So like I said, money talk in Cambodia, as long as money is still flowing in from the Chinese citizen, from the Chinese people or Republican of China flowing into Cambodia, the regime will turn a blind eye on the issue that the world is speaking right now, and we are putting Cambodia on the map of the human trafficking situations crisis. Like I said, when we talking about human trafficking, what we always thought is Cambodian cross the border Cambodian going out to other country and get it still happened because of working environment in Cambodia, and there's no job in Cambodia. No job for the youth, no job for the people that currently or freshly out of school, and also that's because you have no connections, you wouldn't have job, and any available job in Cambodia because of the development in Cambodia, what we call thank you, peace, thank you development in Cambodia. Cambodia, it's Cambodian does not use the youth or the people in the country to build construction, to do the construction, and also Cambodia does not produce any meaningful, like doesn't ship product out of the country beside fabric, beside clothing, beside shoe, beside and that's it. You can barely see any like fresh fruit out of Cambodia or canned fruit out of Cambodia, and that's one of the things. We have plenty of fruit, but at the same time, there's no market for it. So thank you, and as always, like I said, 1.5 to 2 millions Cambodian cross the border to Thailand, migrant worker to work, and many of them got arrested and because of documentations and got pushed back to Cambodia. So crossing the border life, it's not easy, and it's and our heart going out to them. But unfortunately, that's how the real life in Cambodia. If you are not connected and if you do not have people in a certain business, in a certain industry, even though you try, you go to school, you finish your school, but unfortunately, the opportunity is not there. And when the opportunity is not there, who to blame? It's the top leader to blame. The leadership that's not creating opportunity for people, opportunity for the youth to work in Cambodia, to enjoy the life in Cambodia. I'm for sure nobody want to pack up their stuff and go to Thailand or go to South Korea, go to Japan to find work and leave their family behind. But unfortunately, because of life, because of how much they owe the bank, that's what Cambodia are facing every day. So again, I know I'm rambling on, but thank you so much for watching our show. Again, this is Khmer Youth Voices for Justice. This program is under CNRP America live Facebook show. CNRP America has the show 7 days per week. 6 days is in Khmer, so please tune in. We have different hosts. We have different topic each day. We also have different guests. So please tune in. It's in Khmer 6 days per week. Every Tuesdays is in English. So please tune in, learn some English and communicate with me. And also, like I said, my name is Linda Wu. I do read your comment. Thank you for all your comments. Please put them in. And if you want me to talk about any topic next week or the week after that, I am more than happy to talk about that. Each week we have different guests. And we will talk, we not only talk about Cambodia, we also talk about America, we also talk about Europe as well. So please enjoy our show. Please, if you enjoy our show, like our show, share our show. And if you have a youth inside in your home or a youth that you know that's can benefit from this show, please share. And again, thank you so much. And this, like I said in beginning, we are Kanban right now. I think this is day number 3. We 12 more days to go. Please, if you are Buddhist, please be safe when you traveling to Cambodia. When you are in Cambodia, if you are in Cambodia, safe travel. It is raining season, take care, and I will see you next week. Hope if you wherever you at, hope you have a nice day or you have a good evening, and I will see you next week. Thank you so much, and goodbye.